Good evening to you. It's another Tuesday evening, and we are live on Joy 99.7 FM. This is your girl, Biritwum, and this is Geek Squad. This evening, we are here to share with you something that we already started talking about last week. It is a continuation of what we started sharing with you last week. So last week we looked at the need for our children to have devices like laptops and tablets, especially when it comes to their education. And today we want to share with you the methods that you can use to monitor these devices that your kids use and why it is crucial for our children's safety. Now, just in case you missed last week's show, you can find it on YouTube and on Facebook at Joy 99.7 FM. And even right now, if you want to see what's happening in the studio, you can just hop onto YouTube or Facebook at Joy 99.7 FM. Today, we want to check what is happening when it comes to monitoring devices that our children use. Nowadays, what we have come to see is that it's not just a privilege for our children to have access to devices. Some people actually see it as a right. And is this really the case? Because it's becoming a norm. Children can just take your phone, go ahead, download social media apps, and just be using it. Some of them even go ahead to send nude pictures on Snapchat because they get the option to do that. But do we really think that children are in the position to protect themselves when it comes to they accessing these devices? And that is why we want to delve into the conversation today. But before we do that, I want to share something with you by Bill Wilchie. And I quote, said, "Does your child's perceived rights to privacy supersede their safety? It's 100% your right to check their devices." And Bill Wilchie is the president of Child Rescue Coalition. He's asking, does your child's perceived rights to privacy supersede their safety? It's 100% your right to check their devices, and this goes to our guardians and our parents. Before we get into our conversation, I just want us to be aware that our guests are here, and today I have with me Gideon Kofi Amegavi. He is a cyber security professional, a returning panelist. Thank you so much for coming. Good evening to you, Gideon.
Good evening, Perpetual.
I also have another returning panelist, and he's in the person of Emmanuel Boache, and he is the Accra manager for Gilo Limited. Welcome back, Emmanuel.
Thank you.
Okay, we will delve into our conversation in a jiffy, but before that, we want to share with you what is happening in the tech space from this week. So let's take a listen to the emerging tech trends. Back, if you're just joining us, this is Geek Squad with your girl, Biritwum. We are looking at methods for parental device monitoring. Lots of kids now use different technological devices. And with the use of these devices, there is a need for us to monitor them, especially as guardians and as parents. And that is why we want to teach you ways that you can do this when it comes to you having some kind of monitoring with the devices your children use. Now, I have with me in the studio Gideon Kofi Amegavi and Emmanuel Boache. But before we get into the conversation, I have a lawyer. He's in the person of George. He's also another regular person. And we want to get some details from him. Then we get into the conversation. Hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening, Adebia.
Hi. Tonight, we want to look at how parents can monitor devices. But before we get into that conversation, we just want to ask you this question, that when it comes to our kids, do we have any rights as guardians or as parents to prevent us from monitoring their tech devices?
Okay. Thank you, Adebia, for the question. And this question is a very interesting one. The reason is that we have to consider the interest of the child vis-a-vis the right of the parent. Um, that's the duty of the parent to be a good parent to the child and always act in the best interest of the child. So, um, in all matters concerning a child, the best interest of the child is the primary consideration. When it comes to this, then the legal issue becomes what is the best interest of the child? Is it in the best interest for parents to monitor their devices? Um, in my honest opinion, it is. It is in the best interest of the children.
Okay.
My reason is that the fundamental right of every person in Ghana, and not to be, it is the fundamental right of every person in Ghana not to be subjected to interference with privacy of his home, property, or communications, right? And children are not exempted from this right. They also enjoy the same right. However, the Constitution permits some form of interference. So, for the purpose of this conversation, maybe we can limit ourselves to two of the exceptions. That's the protection of morals and prevention of crime. Because these are the common reasons why parents may want to monitor the devices of children.
Okay.
If the purpose of setting the privacy or monitoring the device is to protect the moral or or to prevent crime, then the parent has the right to do so. Aside this, the parent doesn't have any right, right? There are other exceptions, but these are the main ones, right? Aside this, the parent doesn't have any. So the parent has a limited right to monitor the devices of the child.
Okay.
Now,
So parents do have the right to monitor the devices. Our children cannot prevent us from monitoring the devices that we have. All
of
right.
course,
We are going
yes.
to get into the conversations with our guests, but for you listening to us, we want you to just tell us, do you monitor the activities of your kids on their devices? Why or why not? You can just send us a message on the WhatsApp line 055 1111997 1111997 055 997. Let us hear from you. Do you monitor the activities of your kids on their devices? If yes, tell us why. If no, why not? Now, to my guests, I'll start with you, Gideon. Why is it important in the first place for parents to monitor their kids when it comes to their device? We've heard from the lawyer, and he has told us that there is nothing that prevents parents from doing that. But why is it important in the first place for us to monitor the devices that our kids use?
All right, thank you. So I think the best answer I was looking for is what George has given to us, and that is at least the constitution or the law permits the parent to some extent or a limited right to monitor the phones or devices of these children. And it's important they do that because technology has advanced in such a way that now these children of late are smarter than even the parents. You know that. Yeah. And in as much as they are smart and they are able to do a lot with these gadgets, they lack the maturity or their sense of maturity is low. That's one thing we need not to forget about. And as a matter of fact, they are minors. And sometimes when it comes to even data sharing, they can't ascertain the impact or the level of damage this data sharing can bring onto themselves and even their parents and the whole community at large. So just as we see ourselves in our various communities, in our social environment, as in the physical community, our parents are there to guide us and to control our activities and to even show us how our basic manners, how we talk to elders, how we respond to people, and how we carry ourselves as people growing up. You get it? The same principle applies when it comes to this area, because this is also a social environment. the internet as a whole.
Yeah.
So parents being there to guide us is very important, to monitor and know and direct us as to where to go, where not to go, what to do, what not to do, and all that. So it's very important. And you see, as a child, once you know that your parents are monitoring you, you are very cautious of what you do. Lack of monitoring leads to indiscipline. So the moment you know that your parents are watching over your activities, you are extra careful. So it's very important. The benefits outweighs the issue to do with the human right of the child having access to their privacy.
But
And
here
all
even in
that.
Ghana, do we read really?
It doesn't work.
That's the whole point.
It doesn't work. So and aside that, these children normally don't even have credit cards or Visa cards and all that. And the parents' phones they use or gadgets they use, they buy the apps and
Yes.
So if you don't monitor them, one day you wake up and your child has done some transaction in your name without you even knowing.
That's
And it
true.
does happen. People's children do purchase games and stuff on the device without the parents even knowing. So it's very important we do that. The advantages, like I said, are a lot. We can list them until daybreak. Yes.
Emmanuel,
Yeah, so to top up with to what he said, I think yes, it's really really important for parents to monitor their awards because, like he was saying, you would wake up one day and then you find out that they've used your credit card to make a lot
Sure.
of purchases online and stuff, and it's not always it's not even just about that because sometimes the internet has a lot of opportunity in a broad spectrum where you can access information and whatnot, long and then wide. Plus, when you find yourself receiving these spam emails and messages from hackers or those fraudsters online and all those stuff, you need to be able to monitor them to ensure that whosoever they are engaging with online, okay, is someone that is safe.
trustworthy.
Exactly, safe and trustworthy, and then you know that so my ward is in good hands. He's probably texting with a couple of his friends from school, and he's visiting this website and that website. Understand? And then you'll be able to also talk to them and speak to them on the dangers of drifting apart or drifting away from the importance of using the internet for good, rather than just being in the loop and allowing them to do anything they want with the computer.
Get you. I remember some few months back, I was at home when I just had a video call on WhatsApp, only to pick it up. It was from my cousin. So when I picked it up, I saw it was one of her daughters. She had called me, Auntie Pep, and then I was just, where is mommy? Mommy is in the kitchen. I was like, okay. So like we are saying, there's a need for us to monitor them because in her absence, she was just away in the kitchen. She had just picked up the phone and gone to WhatsApp, initiated a video call. So there's a need for us to do that monitoring. Now, let me just ask.
And before that, children are very adventurous. So that's one thing you need to note.
Yes,
Yeah. So
yes.
if you leave them just like that, you just create more harm to them and the society at large. So yeah.
That's true. That's very true. So we've spoken about monitoring them when it comes to the use of the devices. How about putting locks? So when I say putting locks, where we have a certain time, so maybe you can say from 6 to 8, that's the only time you can be online. Is there a need for us to do that? I'll start with you, Emmanuel.
Yes, setting limits and restrictions on as and when they should use the device is actually very important because you don't allow them to have a screen time almost all the time. You see, when it happens that way, all their attention would be on a particular device or would be on the device 24/7. They wouldn't actually have time for even their books because all the time they are on their device doing this, doing that. And to tell you the truth, some of these words actually are copycats, or should I say mimic. They mimic what their parents do. So when you find yourself when you find yourself in a situation whereby you just close from work, get to the house, and you're always on your phone 24/7, they get that a lot from you, especially kids that are always that are in between the ages of 8 to 15. They copy that a lot because they always want to do that. So it turns out that you are not being a role model for them to follow. So how can you then tell them that you need to stop, and then this time is for game time, this time is for studies time? No, they wouldn't do it.
So what I'm getting from you, as the adults, we need to start
obviously
practicing that.
exactly. You need to start practicing it yourself.
These phones are addictive in a way.
Exactly. But you see, this whole digital adoption is a culture. You see, just as we have in our normal tradition,
Yeah.
there are certain rules and regulations every household set for themselves,
Yeah.
and these rules are there to guide us. So, leadership by example. So, like you rightly said,
Not
you
do as I say, but do as I do.
exactly,
Exactly.
So you have to make sure that you are doing or you are laying some examples that these guys can look up to you for, or they can learn and then can mimic, like he rightly said. So if you as a parent, you have to set this time limit for them. It's very important. Time management is very important, because some of these guys can just be on the phone the whole day playing games and visiting sites and reading comments on social media and content, explicit content that are not meant for them. They just chance on them and all that. So if they also see you, for instance, on a particular social media, say TikTok or IG, and scrolling through for about an hour and laughing and just cracking jokes here and there, they also they are excited and they want to. Like I said, they are very adventurous.
Yeah.
They want to see. They are inquisitive. They want to really see what is happening there. So yes, it's important we hammer both ends. We need to set good examples for the kids to follow. And when we are setting the time limitations, or when we are setting the rules, we as parents must also learn to adapt it.
Okay, so it's not just for them,
It's for the whole household.
It's for the whole household,
family.
yeah.
because we want them to be able to pick the examples
Exactly.
from us.
That is
So
it.
if I'm not at home, then I can do what I want to. But once I come there and it's right in front of them, then I need to set that example for
Exactly.
them.
See, let me tell you something. Growing up as kids, in our communities, our parents did give us some examples and some trainings
Yeah.
that even as at now, as adults as we are now, there are certain things you wouldn't want to do, and it's not because you can't do it, because of your upbringing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because
yes,
you
yes,
had the
yes.
right culture at the infancy or at the onset. So it means that it's something you have learned to cultivate in the right way. You get it? So if we develop this whole digital adoption as a culture, a household culture, where we can move along with our kids, we instill some kind of discipline and some kind of unique culture in them, so they can be on the social media and they will not go and insult people as people do, because you've given them the principles for them to understand that this is how it's supposed to look like, and they understand it from that perspective. So whether you are there or not, it sticks.
Yeah.
That is the
I
concept.
get you. So this is a conversation we had some time back at home, that these kids, especially babies, when they grow up, some parents buy tablets for them, but for a very strange reason, they always want the phones. And like we have just indicated, it's more often than not because the parents are on the phones.
Phones.
Yes.
They're giving them tablets, but they
Yes.
are not on tablets.
Yes.
So why is it that you are
Yeah.
using the phone, but you are
Yeah.
giving me
The
a tablet?
tablet,
So
yeah.
really, they watch us, and what we do, they
Yeah.
also try to do the same thing.
Yeah.
This is interesting. So as parents or as guardians, we need to set the example for our kids.
You need to set limits for yourself even before you think of setting for your own kids too.
So that means discipline for all of us.
Exactly.
Yes.
The screen time, you set it.
Yeah.
I think we'll have to get into the
Yeah, we're
details
going
on
to
how
go into
to
details,
set
yeah.
these
Yeah.
limits and all that. Okay, so it's very clear that there is a need for us to monitor the devices of our wards. There is a need for us to also set the limits. One of the things that we discussed last week was parents being able to buy laptops or tablets depending on what their ward is doing in school, so that they are able to use it. So now what we want to do is to get into the details of that setup. Like if someone has a laptop today or a tablet today, what are some of the things that a parent should look at setting on these devices in order for us to have the controls in place? I'll start with you, Emmanuel.
Okay, so first and foremost, even before you set up all these devices, there are restrictions you can put on them, and even after the device are being set up, there are restrictions that you can put on them. Okay, so we have browser extensions like Google Chrome browser extensions and then other browser extensions where you
We
can
want to
actually
break it down so that parents listening can note them and then they can start implementing as well. So it would be good to just take your time and mention them so that
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Yes. So one of the most important thing they need to do is to set the parental control on a PC. So the PC actually gives you the opportunity for you to be able to set that parental control on it. So if you want to do that, all you have to do is just go to the start button on your computer. and then or you can just click on the search button on the tax bar. When you click on the search button, you just type control panel. When you click on control panel, it a window opens for you. Then you search for add account. Then you click on add account, and then it will give you the step by step process where you can add account or set the parental guidance or the parental control that you want to set for that
For the
particular how do you call it, device. Yes, depending on the age of the person. Good. So that is one way to go about it. And then we have other softwares. We have other softwares like Kaspersky antivirus. Kaspersky, like I mentioned the last time, is a very good antivirus that actually gives you that forum, or should I say room, for you to be able to set up this parental guidance on it, and then it restricts your ward from visiting other sites. Like I said initially, the internet is a broad spectrum.
Yes.
So even when you pick Google, when you pick your phone and go to Google, immediately you type anything at all, it just brings a whole bunch of search that you can just go and then find whatever information you're looking for. Good. So in as much as you are giving them the opportunity to use these devices, yes, you should also have these things installed in place. And then the internet internet antivirus, or the Kaspersky I was talking about, good. It actually gives you that forum to set up that age limit and an age range, and then implement some of these things to ensure that your ward doesn't skate off or from the internet, or doesn't visit other sites that are not good, or that are not permitted.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's one way to go about
Go
it.
about it. Okay, Gideon.
Yeah.
What's what?
All right. So some of these things are a bit technical, and what we advise the parents to do is always seek professional advice to be guided properly and do this. So, for instance, the shop you are buying this device from, you can get assistance from them to do the initial setup. Once you tell them you want to set this for your kids, it's part of after sales support and all that, they will be able to assist you. But since you have touched on the laptop, I want to touch on the phone bit, which is the most used gadget by this kids. So I want to tackle both iOS and that of the Android platform.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it will be good to
Yeah, I'll break it down. Okay.
take our
So
time
I
so
think
that
it's, on the
people
phone, it's
taking
much
notes.
easier for the parents to do on their own than
Yes.
even on the laptop.
Good.
Yeah. So on the phone, if you are using iOS, the basic default one, if you don't want to rely on any third-party apps, and you want to use the default inbuilt iOS functionality, you can go to the screen time. Just search for screen time under settings. Once you get to screen time, you look for content and privacy restrictions. This is for the iOS, content and privacy restrictions. Then it will take you to the next page. When you get to the next page, you should see content and privacy restrictions there, and you just have to turn it on. Once you turn it on, it gives you a lot of functions that is something you can just read through and follow. It's very easy. So, for instance, the things you'll be able to do, it is being categorized under privacy, where you can restrict location services, contact calendars, photos, sharing, a whole lot, and even allowing them to make changes to the phone itself. You can limit them to the extent that they can't do any other thing on the phone. You can even restrict them as to which website they can visit and all that, as in the content they can view, or the website they want to visit. So there's a web content functionality there. The more you click on that, it gives you an option to select whether you want them to be able to access adult content, or only the website you want them to so the
indicate.
limited website. So you can manually input those websites there, or you can just add them. And once these websites have been added, those are the only sites this case can visit.
go to.
You can limit even the apps they can use, and whether those apps will have internet access or not. Once you go through the same place I've just mentioned. So it's very simple. Just search for the screen time under the settings, and once you go there, you look for
This is mainly for iOS.
this for iOS. Look for the content and privacy restrictions. This you can use to, at least if you don't want to spend on any extra third-party software. Good. So if you want to go for other more sophisticated ways of doing that, like he indicated, there are third parties who provide this parental control apps. purposely for restricting or monitoring the activities of your kids on the internet. So you go to the iOS, the Android, if we have the permission.
Yes,
Good.
it would be good to
So if the parents are still listening, on the Android is also under the settings. So that one you look for digital well-being and parental controls. Once you pop up, you pick your Android phone and you go to the search and just type digital well-being. You will see it will come as digital well-being and parental well-being and parental controls. Once you click on that, it takes you to the page, and there are also settings there. These are all self-explanatory. Like you just read and apply the function there. It doesn't require much. That's why we are starting with the basics. It doesn't need any extra tech knowledge or IT knowledge to be able to mimic with this setting. So once you go there, for the Android 2, you will see parental controls under the digital well-being. You click on that, it takes you to the next page. And once you get to the next page, you have a whole lot of settings to yourself. Here, it will request that you add your WhatsApp account, like he said. Before you even set up the phone, first, the most important thing is to create an account for this child of yours, so that you'll be able to apply the right restrictions or the monitoring rules to that specific account. You don't share your account with them because your account is not limited. You are able to view all, exactly. So you need to create a specific account for them where you'll be able to just apply all the rules there. So they are just basic steps in there. It's just a matter of trying to do your normal mobile transfer. You go just.
But the way you are saying there are basic steps, you know, some people use these devices
and they don't
very
know even there.
and they don't do all these things. So it's actually one of the questions because it's something that we even mentioned. Some of these children even know how to use the devices
more than their parents.
Their parents, exactly.
And that is a very worrying area we need to look at.
So what do the parents do in that case? Emmanuel, I know you've spoken about the laptop and how we can do that setup. I'm a parent. I don't really know much. Like some people are even afraid. I know a particular person who used to say, as for me, I don't really like tech things. I don't really like tech things. So in their mind, they've just blocked themselves. For such a parent.
So you see, the problem with most parents is that they fail to search online for answers or search online for solutions to a problem that they are facing. What they know is they like to go by it in the usual old-fashioned way. Let me ask someone. But see, the internet, it does not restrict you. It does not restrict anyone.
Yeah.
Exactly. So anything that you want or anything that you want to know, which you have little knowledge about, you can just go to Google and then type. Right now we have YouTube. YouTube has tons, millions of billions of videos on there where you can simply access them and get to know how these types that I'm talking to you about are very easy to do. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? They are very, very easy.
Go on the YouTube and do other things.
Other stuff, exactly.
So we need
instead
to
of
make the time to
good,
learn.
instead of learning all these things, you just go then search how to set parental control on my Word's laptop or on my Word's phone. It will give you all the steps, step by step details that you have to follow to do it, and it's very, very easy. It's
so
very, very easy.
What Emmanuel is saying, parenting, like we all know, is no joke.
Yeah.
And in as much as we are taking the responsibility to take care of them in all other areas in their lives, we have to treat this digital area or the tech area as serious as we can.
Yeah.
Because you can't afford to buy a device for your child when you don't know what the device entails or what it does. It's as simple as that. Anything they request for, whatever you are buying for your kid, you should know what it's going to do, the harm and the good it's bringing to the kid. So as a parent, you should always be a step ahead of your kids.
Yeah.
Until you do that, you no, because
most children are
this
steps ahead of their
they are smart.
Lots of them.
They will just pick your phone and they will go to
And you
places
see,
you yourself. You don't even know it.
the fun thing about it is they don't learn it from anywhere.
Yes,
it's the
it's
same
natural.
internet. They learn it from the
Some of
same
them
internet.
some of them
Exactly.
it's natural.
So they get to know. So,
it just comes.
yes. So he takes the phone, he
Yes.
goes online, he finds every answer he's looking for. But
If
you,
your
the parents,
you are
don't do
listening,
that.
you must tell them. If your parents you are listening,
Yeah.
it's a big task on you.
Yeah.
So it's either you are learning it to be where you need to be
Exactly.
ahead of them, or you are employing the service of an expert to assist you. Yeah, because if you don't have the time, if you don't have the brain to do it, and you don't have the energy to do that, then because this is a one-off setup. Once you
Yes,
do
yes,
it, it's
yes.
there forever. So if it's a cousin, if it's a friend, if it's a relative, whoever can assist you, let them put these measures in place. We shouldn't lose sight over there. We have to give them every what do you call it, training we need to do, all angle 360, not just the what do you call it, the Christian life, the
Cultural,
Muslim
moral,
life, the
yeah.
culture, the but then the digital space too, because that's what they do in school.
Yeah.
That's what they do with their friends wherever they find themselves. Even when they come home, they are still with these devices. So if you are not paying attention and we are not putting the right measures there, then we are doing them more harm than good.
Yeah.
This is so true. We'll be doing our children more harm than good if we do not put measures in place when it comes to monitoring their devices. This is Geek Squad with your girl Adubia Biritwum. This evening we have been looking at how we can monitor the devices of our wards. And Geek Squad is brought to you by MTN. MTN everywhere you go. MTN says, we all have those days when you are low on everything. Energy, time, cash, and even airtime and data. Well, that's why MTN Extra Time is an airtime and data advanced service that allows you to make calls or browse the internet even when you have an insufficient balance in place. All you have to do is to dial star 506 hash. Star 506 hash. Go through the prompts and select the amount of airtime or data you need. It's more than simple. Doing your favorite things on MTN means you don't get interrupted even when you are low on airtime or data. Please remember, all terms and conditions apply. It's been an interesting conversation from what we are learning so far. And we asked you to share with us, do you monitor the activities of your kids on their devices? Why or why not? One of the things you also looked at was certain screen time. Do you have that in place? We want to hear from you. You can send us your message on the number 055 1111997. We'll just be right back after this quick break. Come back. This is Geek Squad with your girl Adobia Biritwum. Geek Squad is brought to you by MTN. MTN says carrying multiple phones around can be such a chore. The unsightly bulge in your pockets, the extra weight in your purse, the stress of switching from one phone to the other to pick calls. Now imagine being able to switch between different numbers on the same phone easily and seamlessly. Guess what? You can go seamless with MTN eSIM and enjoy the convenience of connecting multiple phone numbers to one single phone or device. To check if your device is compatible, simply dial star hash 06 hash. Once you receive an EID number, it means your phone or device is compatible. Simply download my MTN app today to request your MTN eSIM and enjoy the sweet, seamless life everywhere you go. We have some questions from you, so we'll go ahead and read them. So this is Ridwana, and he or she is saying you need to monitor them. That's our children, because our question was, do we monitor our children and why or why not? And he or she is saying you need to monitor them just to know if they are not being scammed by people. And I think this is so true. We also have one question, and this is from Kwesi Ndo. He's asking, is there a way to find out what kids watch on Google Chromebook after the kid finds a way to delete the history? In the USA. He's just asking, is there a way that you're able to find out what your kids have watched when they have found a way to be deleting their history?
So I think that to begin with, that's why you have to have a preventive way. Preventive solution here, I mean, put in the tools or solution that will be able to monitor this. ahead of time, so you'll be able to even detect it before the child gets to the level of deleting them. But if the kid is actually deleting them, then he's a pro. He knows
They're
what he's
smart.
doing. Yeah, but there are logs and there are other third-party softwares you can install on this device to pick these activities that he or she is doing. We have the spyware apps. They have a lot of the one popular one is the M Spy, which you once it's on the device, it will track all the activities of the case and you'll be able to see it in real time and all that. So whether they delete it on the host machine or not, you still have like a copy of it. You'll be able to see and review at any time. Yeah, so it's possible.
That's true.
Yes, so with this type of question, even with our phones, sometimes when you delete an item on your phone, it doesn't actually truly really gets deleted.
Yeah.
It goes to recently deleted.
Yeah.
Yeah, so most of these kids don't actually know that when you delete it goes to recently deleted.
Good and
So
clear.
so once they find out that they can't find a picture on the gallery anymore, or video on the gallery, or whatever it is that they are deleting on the gallery anymore, okay, what happens is they feel they have deleted it, and then it actually takes 30 to 90 days before those deleted images are permanently deleted from your
Yeah.
Yeah.
from your phone.
Device,
And
yeah.
it is the same thing that applies to the laptop too. Yeah, so when they feel or think they have deleted, all you just need to do is go to your Google Chrome, click on the settings, Control H to get your history feedbacks, and then you go through. So it will even show you the recently deleted files.
Yeah.
Then you get to know what they have been up to and what they actually deleted. It's as simple as that.
I really wish this conversation could continue, but unfortunately, we'll have to do a part 2 of it because we want to teach you, our parents, and then also the guardians, some tips that you can use in this digital age when it comes to how we can control the devices, and also the security setups that we can put even on the internet, what they can have access to. But we wouldn't be able to exhaust that in our conversation today. We would continue with the part 2 of it. But before that, we want to teach you some tips. So please take a listen to the quick tech fixes for you.
Hiya! My name is Michelle Ajakum, and I bring you some tech quick fixes and tips here on Geek Squad. Did you know that you can now schedule a WhatsApp audio or video call for later? Well, WhatsApp's latest feature update now gives you the chance to create a shareable video or audio call link for family, friends, or work colleagues to join later. This is how it works. 1. Open WhatsApp. 2. Tap on the Calls tab. 3. Tap on Create Call Link. 4. Select your call type, video or voice. And 5. Tap on Copy Link. You can now send the link via WhatsApp to all the different people you want to join the call. And that's it. You now know how to organize a quick call or schedule one for later on WhatsApp.
Welcome back. This is Geek Squad with Adobia Biritwum. Today we have looked at how we can monitor the devices that our wards use. And we couldn't exhaust that topic. We want to continue next week. But just before we go, I'll just like us to do a quick 30 minutes recap of what... Did I say 30 minutes? 30 seconds each. 30 seconds each from first guest Gideon, and then we'll have Emmanuel. Then we can wrap up for today and continue next
So
week.
for the sake of time, like you said, we'll continue next week. That's good. So very simple. As a parent, educate yourself. That's the number one rule when it comes to this space. Always be updated. Stay up to date with the latest tech updates and all that, the tech news. And also have open conversation with your kids. Let them understand this in a lovely and and a peaceful manner, so they know what they are in for. Then the last but not the least, set clear rules, like the screen time we said. If it's a family norm that we're all going to bed by 7 p.m., that is the rule. By 7 p.m., both adults and kids, phone off, we go to bed. So I think those are the basics I would want to leave with our listeners.
Like that set rules.
Okay,
Alright.
so to top up to what he said, I think yes, the parents, like I said initially, should be able to lead by example. Yeah, so you want your kids to have certain time schedules when they are using their devices. You should also have same. In other way, you should lead by example so that they will follow suit. And then also, in setting up these devices, like I said initially, you have to make sure that you have separate accounts for each and every member of the family. That's if you are sharing a computer. It could probably be a desktop computer or maybe a laptop if you don't have money to buy and you are sharing one. You just have to make sure that you set those separate accounts for each and everyone so that everyone would be using it based on their confined zone or confined parameters that was being set when the account was being created. Yes, so I think that is a little that I'll add to what he said.
Thank you so much, Gideon, Kofi Omega V, and Emmanuel Boache for sharing with us this evening. You listening to me, I believe that you have picked a thing or two on how at least we can have in place some setups when it comes to monitoring our kids and the use of the technological devices that are of benefits, but then again can also be a way where issues can crop up. So we need to monitor them when it comes to the usage. God willing, next week we'll be continuing with this topic. But before we go off, I just want to wish a belated birthday to my sister in love, Dr. Mami Nyako Biritwum. God bless you so much. And also to a friend, Swadika Ayarik of Mr. Nati. Blessed birthday to you. Thank you for making time for listening to us and for joining us this evening. God willing, next week we'll be back same time. Join us and let us continue with this discussion. Thank you.